My father passed away when I was about 14 years old. We actually had quite a happy childhood. There wasn't a single school trip that we missed out on. And he said to me, "Did you try your best?" And I said, "I did." I said, "I tried my absolute best." And he goes, "That's all I care about." He goes, "As long as you tried your best, there's nothing more you can do."
How would you describe your vision back then?
I was very hungry. I was very driven. Because we came from that life, so they came over here as students, we all knew that we had to do something. I wanted to prove to the world, the boy that was told he can't do anything, he can do something.
You're passionate about young people and you're doing so well in so many areas of your life. You are thriving.
6 months later, we walked away with a £2 million contract. And I remember the day we got it, I was in tears because I thought, we did it.
Vicky, you're 34. There's so much wisdom. Where do you get your wisdom from?
One thing that really stuck with me is Seema said the charity is founded on the premise that it takes a village to raise a child. And that really hit me because I thought to myself, I've been very lucky that my entire family has been with me through the most difficult part of my life.
Hi and welcome to the Relight Your Fire show. This is episode 100 and I'm so delighted that I've reached this many episodes. Today I have a very special guest, Fahim Modak, and he is an entrepreneur, a director of Zentar Healthcare. He's also a father of 2 young children and married to Rafia. And I'm so pleased that he's here to join us today. He's an incredible philanthropist, social innovator, and also a trustee of Hounslow's Promise. So welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
No, it's great. And what an amazing place to be.
No, it's absolutely fantastic to be honest. I'm very honoured to be sitting on the seat that many of your other very successful people who have joined your podcast have also been as well.
And I'm really pleased that you have joined us on this 100th episode. It's a very special one for me.
Thank you.
And I hope our listeners will really enjoy this and learn more about you and your journey. So Fahim, you're an entrepreneur. You have started a business. You're a director of Zentar Healthcare. But prior to that, the journey wasn't so easy. No. And I know you are very young, but I want you to go back to your school day years and what it was like for you growing up in Hounslow.
Yeah, that does go back a bit. So I'm 30. I'm turning 34 this year. So I think as soon as you turn 30, your back starts to give a little bit, and you do feel the change in age. But going back to, I wasn't very educationally motivated at all, to be honest with you. And I'll come back to why Hounslow's Promise plays quite a key role in my life right now and why I'm so passionate about it. But I didn't really have the chance or the opportunity to enjoy school as much. My father passed away when I was about 14 years old, and his life was quite difficult right towards the end. But overall, we actually had quite a happy childhood. There wasn't a single school trip that we missed out on. My dad used to work for British Airways. We were flown to New York for holidays. We went to Dubai before it was where it was more sand and buildings. We did a lot of trips back to India to see both my mum's and dad's family. And our childhood was generally quite happy, but it was just the unfortunate circumstance that we were going to lose him so early. And that was, we lost him when I was in year 9, which I think at the time it was called SATs.
Yes,
I don't know if it's still called SATs. I think everything's changed now. It's no more A, B and C, it's all 1, 2, 3s now. And I didn't do very well, to be honest with you. But I was never actually quite academically strong anyway. I remember in year 7, I did a French test and I thought I absolutely aced it. And I got a horrendous score, and I went home and I was really, really upset and I was in tears. And I remember my dad said to me, who again wasn't very good on the academic side, but he was a people's person. Everybody loved him. And he said to me, "Did you try your best?" And I said, "I did." I said, "I tried my absolute best." And he goes, "Well, that's all I care about." He goes, "As long as you tried your best, there's nothing more you can do." And he said, "I've been in the exact same boat. I tried my best on a few tests, and I got terrible scores." And I say the same thing to my kids as well. My daughter's very hard on herself. My son's a bit floozy when it comes to school, but I always say, just try your best, and hopefully you will get the outcome that you want. But if not, as long as you've tried. So I've always had that since I was a child. And after I completed my GCSEs, and again, I don't even think I got any GCSEs, to be honest with you. And I was pushed by one of the teachers to do a BTEC in business. No motivation whatsoever to do it, but I said, let's go ahead, let's do it, and we cracked on. And I was really lucky because in my second year, I had a business teacher who's now the head of Marylebone Boys School, and he really clicked with me. He taught me everything I knew, or everything I know in business, and there was times when I just didn't want to go to school, and he'd ring me up from the school landline, and I'd see the number on my phone, and I'd answer it, and he'd say, where on earth are you? And he'd force me to come in. I was really cheeky. These were days where you used to get EMA of £30 a week from the government if you turned up to school on time and you went for 5 days. And I used to be really cheeky and say, sir, can you sign me in so I get my £30? He didn't, to be fair, but he did really push me, and he taught me everything around, this is how you write a CV, this is how you do a P&L. He taught me about marketing. We really went into it. And after that, I went off and I got a job in Currys, and I worked my way up into middle management. And that's where I met my two business partners, Deepak and Akshay, who are fantastic. I could not run my business without them. We really do get along really well, even 14 years later.
But where did that start? How did you decide to go into recruitment at the level that you're at now?
One of my aunts does legal recruitment, and I always saw that I'm very, very close with her, and she's very successful at what she does. So I heard of recruitment, and she gave me some work experience many years ago, and work experience is meant to be free. So what really got me kicking was when she gave me a paycheck at the end of the 2 weeks, and I bought my first iPod Touch with it. And I always remember she gave me a list of law firms, or she made me fill out spreadsheets and all these different things. And I always remembered what she did. And I said to my guys, to Deepak and Akshay, I said, well, why don't we look at recruitment? And we didn't know what to recruit with. So we started off doing drivers that were going into Heathrow. And that was a lot of work for very little return. But business was rolling. We were getting somewhere. And there was a lot of hassle around it. You'd get times when a driver would not turn up to work, and then you've got bad client reputation. One of the drivers knocked off his wing mirror with another car, and then you've got bad reputation there. And we thought we need something with a bit more stability that's not so reliant on people who sometimes will and won't work. Do you know what I mean? It was there's very little retention in the industrial side that we were working in. And then we bumped into a nurse, and he said, why don't you do nursing? And I said, no, I can't do nursing. It's impossible. I can't have someone's life in my hands. And then we looked into it, and we realised the compliance is actually so strong that it's very little chance something could go wrong. Because you have to go through 40, 50 different documents and interviews and qualifications and everything before you're even able to get a nurse out. So we had 3 nurses on our books. I called up all the private hospitals in London, and I said, if you ever need a nurse, call me. 2:00 in the morning, Deepak made sure the nurses were live. 2:00 in the morning on a random day when I was in bed, phone rang. Thank God the nurse was available, and that's where it all started from. So as much as it is about hard work, there is a lot of luck involved.
Yeah, it sounds like you got very lucky with that.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And it's about meeting people at the right time and also seeing those opportunities. So you had a vision.
Yeah.
If you could say, like, going back, how would you describe your vision back then?
I was very hungry. I was very driven. Because we came from that life we came from a council estate. Deepak and Akshay are from India. So they came over here as students. We all knew that we had to do something. There wasn't really a choice. Because
you were hungry.
I absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And I really wanted I wanted to prove to the world that the boy that was told he can't do anything, he can do something. But also I wanted to make dad proud and make my mum proud. And because they put, my mum she's from India. She came over when she got married. And now she's mum and dad, and she's working. She stepped up to the bar, and it was my responsibility to make sure that I can deliver that as well. So there was a huge drive. But equally, I was quite young. I was 19 years old. I had no family responsibilities. I didn't have a partner. It was, all of my time was for me to be able to do it. Now that I've got 2 little kids, and I'm married, I've got responsibilities, do I still have the time and the drive to be able to do it? No. So that, again, the opportunity came at the right time to say, we've got something here, grab it with 2 hands and run with it. And I wasn't scared of failing.
Oh, that's good.
I started a few other businesses before and failed them, and I wasn't scared of trying again, because I believe that if you don't try at all, you've already failed.
And what's the process you go through in your mind where you say, actually, I'm going to feel the fear and I'm going to do it anyway?
I have this... my mentality is I panic quite a lot. Actually, more recently now, I go through this phase of nervousness as I lead up to things. And it will take me, if you say to me in 2 weeks' time we're doing this, I'll spend 10 days overthinking it. 10 minutes before, I'm the most confident person you'll come across. Somehow it all just goes away. My mind says, stop thinking about it now and just run. And that's always been my mindset. And I remember when I had the first client that we ever had, They were the only client that we had for a very long time. And I remember they invited me in to do the tender. And I've never done a tender before. We didn't use a bid writer. I didn't even know bid writers existed. And it was back in the days when technology didn't exist very much. And I typed everything up and they said, hand deliver it. It was this thick. And I delivered it by hand. They were quite surprised. The director of the company delivered it by hand himself. And I looked around the room of the people when I was doing my presentation. There's a room of 60-year-olds, all, very, very experienced, very, there was a chief nurse there, the director of intensive care, the COO was there, and all of my competition were people double my age. And I was a 20-year-old walking in there, promising them that I can deliver it.
20
years
amazing.
old. And 6 months later, we walked away with a £2 million contract. And I remember the day we got it, I was in tears because I thought, we did it. And it was just before I got engaged. It was a little bit after, actually. I got engaged quite after. But my family and everything was talking. But 20 years old, to be able to land a contract like that was unbelievable, to be honest with you.
And being engaged so young as well.
Yeah, to be fair, I did get engaged a few years after. But in Asian culture, obviously, the parents talk and everything like that. So there was a lot of conversations that were happening at the time. But everything was moving in the right direction. And that was like the pivotal moment for us when we said, this is now going to become something. But again, I went into that room and I said, I'm going to run with it. I was so nervous to walk into a room and do a presentation. I didn't even do presentations in school. So to do that was unbelievable.
What made you stand out?
I think, I personally think that the market at that time was quite highly dominated with people of, I'm getting older as well, so people of that time was quite very heavily dominated with people of an older understanding. A lot of broken promises, and we made sure that we delivered on every single promise up until that day. I'm really, really big on customer satisfaction. I meet all of our clients. I know we live in a very video Teams orientated way at the moment, but I still try to get out there and meet all of our clients. So everyone that was around that table that listened to my presentation, I had a handshake with them 3 weeks before that and sat down, had a coffee and said, just tell me what's important to you. I always say in business, understanding what someone's why are they opening this tender up? And I listened to that and I promised them and I delivered on all the promises before that, which made my promise actually hold some value.
So you had a great track record. And then your integrity was very high.
Yeah.
And I love that personal meeting with everyone, because
Absolutely.
often we'll be like, oh, I'll just do a Teams call and I'll meet on Teams. But I think we're going the other way now. We're like, no, let's meet in person.
Yeah.
Because
I find that
huge.
quite hard, to be honest with you, because I believe a good firm handshake is the best way to start things. But I do think that is coming back. I think COVID really brought us to a world where everybody just wanted to do a Teams call and close your laptop lid once you're done with it. And it doesn't allow you to build a relationship. I really do push for having a face-to-face interaction with people. And that's one of the biggest successes that we've got. It's hard to do it when you're running a nationwide company because you can't be everywhere all the time. But if you pick and choose and make sure that everyone does get seen at some point, then
But you've gone international as well.
So we've got bases in the Middle East. I was in Oman a couple of months ago. We look after a lot of the high net worth. So it started off as healthcare recruitment. We moved into the social care world. So we, in the UK, we're a CQC regulated company. We deliver care directly to service users and residents and patients directly into their home. Which is fantastic. And what we've done, because we are an NHS approved organisation, but we are really well known in the private sector. So we get a lot of high net worth individuals who will contact us and say that, can you look after mum? And our names got out there quite a lot because we're very discreet with what we do. I've got a fantastic registered manager. Her name is Dame Donna Kinnair. She was a former chief exec of the Royal College of Nursing. She's been a commissioner. She's done everything, right from being a nurse all the way to the top. And when I bring someone like that with me, that shows that the level of care is really important. So that's helped us grow internationally, because people who are leaving private hospitals, who a lot of the time are from other countries, will say, Fahim, can we bring your people with us? So we've moved quite significantly into the Middle East, and there's a lot more to come in the next 12 months. I'm very excited.
And how do you build culture with all your team members?
So we've got offices in India. We've got offices in the Middle East. We've got a small growing team in South Africa, and we've got a team in Philippines and in the UK. Trying to bring one culture into an international base is the hardest thing I've ever done. because you will always have pockets of people that want to. And it's quite, I get it. The UK team is very friendly with the UK team. The India team is very friendly with the Indian team. So one thing that I'm going to be doing more is we're going to be making our business more face to face. So I'm heading out to India. Deepak actually is in India right now. I'm flying out to India in June with my head of compliance, who's UK based, and we're going over there to meet the team. And everything is based around quality. I say to everyone, whether you're in finance or you could be an administrator, my assistant, everybody has the understanding that what we do, one way or another, has an impact on a patient, whether the recruitment side of the business or the social care side. If my billing team isn't invoicing our clients correctly, the manager's going to be sitting there reading invoices when actually she should be speaking to the nursing team. And rather than having quick sign-offs, if we can't fulfill our clients' requests, that's going to put us in a position where they're probably going to go somewhere else. And the patient could be lacking care. So everyone has the understanding of we have an impact on the patient, which is hard to do, especially when you've got international teams and the care is being delivered in someone's home confidentially or within one of the NHS hospitals. But everyone has that reminder. So I really try to remind everyone of that on every call that we have. And hopefully they listen. But so far it's going well.
No, that's really good. And you are very passionate about what you do. And you've entered the social care market as well.
Very scary place to
it
be.
is.
Yeah,
any opinions and thoughts?
It's a hard market to break into. It's all about quality. There's still, the changes in ICBs and the changes in local authorities is hard because relationships are being torn away. And that's, again, we're moving into a place where everything needs to be done on email or on Teams videos. And I think that's quite sad in the social care sector, especially in the public funded social care sector side. I was the nominated individual for one of the for a nursing home, the longest standing nursing home in London, in Pimlico. And I realised there, I supported them with actually closing the home down in that process because the owner was at a retirement point and they just didn't want to continue with it. So I helped them do that. But people were heartbroken because the owner of the home herself, who was the RM at one point, would meet everyone. She would do her rounds every single morning and meet everyone, meet the family, know everybody by name. And I think that's missing. So I really hope that what I'm doing is going to help bring that back. And when I speak to commissioners, and when I speak to people who are in local authorities, I say we are a humane-led organisation, but we are technology enhanced. Because in the world of social care, you can't take the person out of the topic.
So what's your thoughts on AI and robotics?
It's a scary one. It's a scary one. Avnish's posts of Avnibot really got me thinking.
That's a joke.
I know. It really. When I looked at it, I thought, this can't be real. And I realised. I looked at the date. That really got me going. To be fair, I think AI is fantastic. We are starting to use AI to help develop and enhance care plans, which is great. I think they are a technology, they're a tool for us to use. It's not to be taken over our sector. I don't know how I feel about robots giving care. It's a bit... I'm a bit old school. I should have been born in the 70s. I still listen to the Bee Gees. So technology to me is a bit of a hard one. But I'm starting to learn to enhance it. My business partner Deepak loves ChatGPT, and I say it's his best friend.
Yes.
Whereas I take a little bit more time and I really sort of dissect everything it does. But I think technology we need to grab it. We need to grab it with two hands, and we really need to embrace what it is, but do it safely. You can't have, an AI robot writing a care plan for you, but maybe what it can do is it can read what you've written and it can enhance it and make it more personalized through experience of what us as an organization are really good at. To say, Zentar's really good at delivering this, or you've had fantastic feedback from this ICB. This can be put into this as well, because we forget things. We're only human at the end of the day.
Exactly, yes. I'm glad. Some of the strengths you bring to your business, as well as your other partners, your directors.
Yeah, absolutely.
Akshay and Deepak.
Yeah.
And how you build a world-class business.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, they're brothers as well.
Oh, okay.
which to be fair has never been a challenge. It's never been a challenge. They're very, very fair. We're all very fair in the way that we operate. We are a family. Deepak and Akshay also went through a very similar circumstance. They lost their father at a very young age as well, and that's. We're sort of men. We don't really talk about it very much, but we know that there's an underlying bond that we have that we just don't really. We don't really get emotionally involved about because it's hard. It's a tough topic. Deepak and Akshay's mum's still around. My mum's still around, and we treat each other's parents like our own mothers, and that's quite nice. So that family element is there. We've always said that we want all of us to succeed. It's not about one or the other succeeding, and we've all got different roles in the business. So I say Deepak's the guy in the background that makes everything happen. I could not run this business without him. I'm the front man that makes everything look pretty and makes a million promises, and I take the paper back to him. I said, here you go, mate, you got to deliver this. Then I'll move on to the next one. And it's a really good balance, because he has an eye for detail. Deepak has an eye for detail. Akshay's very process focused. I love meeting people, and I love going out and building new relationships, which is, again, since COVID has been a lot harder, because a lot less people want to meet, and more people, especially with the younger generation now coming into the world of employment. It's quite difficult, because the younger people haven't had the opportunity to go into an office 5 days a week.
Yes.
So that I find that relationship bit quite difficult sometimes. But we all bounce off each other really well. And of course we argue, we'll have a disagreement, and then we'll meet for dinner and everything's absolutely fine. And that's how, I believe that's how every business should be. If we were always in agreement, we never would have got anywhere.
And you get to bounce back quickly and say, right, how do I recover from this, and how can I move on? What's my learning in this?
Absolutely.
In every situation?
They're a great sounding board, because sometimes I'll be writing a proposal for a client, or I'll be trying to work with a commissioner on something. And sometimes you just need that other person to say, what do you reckon?
Yeah.
And they're really good. Obviously, they've only got the business's best interests and my best interests at heart. So they're really good to be able to use as a sounding board and say, I know that I'm the one that's going to be doing the presentation, but how does this sound? Am I sounding too corporate? Am I sounding too personal? Because I am a very personal individual. I like to really get to know the people, and I find business so much easier when you realise. Talk to me as Fahim, the husband, the father, the son, rather than Fahim, the director and the chief executive of a company. And life just goes so much easier that way. So they're great to bounce off of.
That's good. Let's talk about some of the work you're doing with Hounslow's Promise.
Very excited. So I joined as so the charity itself was founded by Seema Malhotra, who is an MP, and she's currently a minister in the Foreign Office. She's an absolutely amazing lady. I've known her for years. I think she's works really hard for her constituency, and I am a member of her constituency as well. She contacted me, or I can't remember which way around it was, but we met several years ago before COVID, and she said, Fahim, I'm starting Hounslow's Promise, which is based on the understanding of America's Promise. So she actually went out to America, she learned about the charity of America's Promise, about giving every child an opportunity, and then she came back, and I think 7 years ago she started the charity, or she was going through the process of starting the charity. And she said, do you want to be a mentor? And I thought I'd love to be a mentor. So there was a young gentleman in Cranford Community College called Adil who did not want to go to university. He's from an Asian background, and in Asian cultures, university, you've got to be a doctor, you've got to be a lawyer, you've got to go to medicine, whatever it might be. And he said, I just don't want to do it, but my parents really want me to go and go to university. And he was such a talented young man. He would have done very, very well in university. And he goes, I just don't want to do it. And I know, he goes, Fahim, I know you haven't been to university. So I spent some time mentoring him, and he wanted to become, I think they call it like year captain or something like that, where you're the voice of the year or something. I don't know what the exact terminology is. And all of the class, all the year had to vote for who they wanted to represent them. And he stood there and he was great. And I said, right, well, if you're going to be talking, you've got to head up, and gave him. And he went in there, and honestly, I felt like I was listening to a politician at one point. He was fantastic. And now he's an auditor in one of the top 4 big banks. He's got a little kid who's beautiful, and I look at that, and he's done it all by himself. It's nothing down to me, but it feels really proud for me to say I supported him in getting the confidence to even apply for that role. And he did the apprenticeship there. He didn't go to university, got the qualifications for his apprenticeship. And then a few years later, then COVID came along, and I wasn't very involved with the charity. The healthcare side was obviously very busy during the pandemic. We were at the busiest that we've ever been. One of our partners so there was a lady called Jenny who was one of our partners. She was a nurse in UCLH who passed away because she contracted COVID, which was really difficult for us because, again, she was a part of our family. Her husband is a very good friend of ours. She has 2 young girls, and it really hit home. So that was a very difficult point for us. So I wasn't very involved in the charity. I was very, very focused on the business. And then at some point last year, Seema got in touch and said, Fahim, we're looking for a new trustee. And it was advertised. I did register interest on it as well. But we've always been in contact. And she goes, I'd like for you to speak to one of the trustees and, see if it's right for you. So in September last year, I came on board. And Hounslow's promise is based on giving young people an opportunity. And one thing that really stuck with me is Seema said the charity is founded on the premise that it takes a village to raise a child. And that really hit me, because I thought to myself, I've been very lucky that my entire family has been with me through the most difficult part of my life, whether it's my dad's brothers and sisters or my dad's cousins, my aunts and uncles, my grandparents' siblings who are still in my life. I probably should spend more time with them, to be fair. But, that village was there. Mr. Ardron, who's my business teacher, was a part of that village. So there's not many young people who have that village to rely on. And I said to Seema, I'd love to be a part of the charity, and I really want to drive it to be something successful. So we're doing a huge reset in Hounslow's Promise this year. We are going full speed ahead. It's very difficult because the other people that are on the board are very successful individuals. One's a founder of a very large accountancy firm. The other one's a chief exec of a West London Chamber of Commerce. You've always got Seema, who's extremely busy in her foreign office role and being an MP. And then we've got the other lady is the chief exec of the Market Research Society. So our board is really, really impressive. And we're going to do some fantastic things. And I always say that if I can go to bed at night knowing that I've made a change to someone that never meant anything to me before, that was not even in my contact list, and I can see that someone had an opportunity to do better in life, then I'd be really happy with that.
And your benevolence comes from your own childhood experiences.
Absolutely.
Like you say, those family members and friends who had an influence in your life, essentially.
Absolutely.
And who had a part to play in making you into who you are now.
Yeah.
But how do you sustain that? What kind of rituals, what kind of things do you do on a daily basis that help you to...
Not much. I mean, my wife's been telling me to hit the gym a little bit more, and I should. Not because of this, but more because I could do it a bit more energy levels. But do you know, so I've got a rule in the morning, which I failed on a little bit recently, where I don't look at my phone for the first hour, because and it's a really hard thing to do when you run a business.
Yes.
Because you wake up in the morning, and because obviously in my line of work, my team's we've got a bookings team that works 24 hours a day. Hospitals can ring at any time, and equally our Donna, for example, my director of nursing community services, is on call 24 hours a day. So if anything goes wrong, it can go wrong at any time in the night. So being on call is hard. It's a very difficult thing to do, and trying to switch off is hard. I'm a night worker, so I like to get into bed. Or when the kids have gone to sleep, I take 2 hours in absolute silence and just work, because it's, the days get so filled with meetings and calls. I looked at my phone to see you pick up the phone like 400 times a day. That's tough. So I try not to look at the phone for the first hour of the day, and start that where I spend it with the kids. The kids are homeschooled. Which my wife was really keen on doing. She's very, very passionate about it.
She's very brave to do that.
She's very brave. I'll be honest with you, it's a very difficult thing to do. I spent one full afternoon with them 2 days ago, and I was exhausted. I usually see them in the evenings from 6-7 o'clock onwards. So to have them for a full day at home, that's hard. They are a part of an online homeschool community, which is great because they do their lessons online. And then Raf obviously takes more to be able to help them excel when they do other Arabic classes and things like that, and they go to tennis clubs and all these different things. So their days are really busy, and my wife's days are very, very busy as well. But for me in the mornings when I have them, now that they're homeschooled, I really like to be able to spend that 1 hour with them. It's not always possible, and I think that is the right way for your mind to get set up to get you on the right track for the day. And then when I look at my phone for the first day and I see 101 Teams messages and 31 WhatsApps and 40 emails by 9:15 in the morning, then I'm ready to go, and I run with it. So that's the only thing that I do right now, but I do think I need to do more. Deepak's very big on meditating.
Oh, I was going to ask you, has meditation
Deepak does meditations, and he's been getting on at me to do a lot more of that. So I do need to do more. My wife's also taken up yoga in the gym. So I think I'm a bit behind when it comes to the self-care part, but I think I'm going to get a good airful in the next few weeks, and I've got to get better at it.
That's really good. And with summer approaching, it's a great time to even be. Do you do anything outdoors, or are you busy walking around London?
No, I don't. I mean, I want to get into golf.
Okay,
I'm a
good.
big I'm not a big fan of golf, but I've always wanted to do it. So I want to get into golf. That's my mission for this year.
That's
And
good.
I've always wanted, my dream was to become a pilot. Because Dad used to work for British Airways,
Oh,
we used to,
yes.
he used to take me into, he used to get temporary pass and take me to charge into the staff area. And I was a bit of a snob as a child because he always used to get us upgrades into business class, which was amazing. So now I've got the same habit into my kids where if I pay for business class, now my kids, when they look at economy and they're like, no, we want to lie down flat, and they'll have the blankets up to their up to their necks like this. So I've got to work harder clearly. But I always wanted to be, I've always wanted to fly. So I'm looking at going into helicopter lessons this year. And I think that would be something I'm quite excited to do.
That's
the
really
kids have
good.
already said that if I do it, we're flying to France every weekend.
Perfect.
Yeah, we'll see how that one's going to go.
Yeah, I always imagine if you can fly, you can escape from danger somehow.
Absolutely.
If you ever, you know, like you watch some of the movies and people can drive cars, drive trucks.
Yeah, you
get
think you
in
know what
and
you're
then-
doing until you're in it. Yeah.
And you press all the right buttons and you're up and you're out and you escape. And what else do you do? Like, what kind of things are you in terms of travel? I mean, you travel for business quite a lot.
I travel quite a lot for work. Yeah, I'm quite lucky because the kids are homeschooled. They travel with me, with my wife as well. So I had a very last minute emergency trip out to Oman, which was booked in the space of 4 hours. As soon as the kids heard it, they pulled out their little suitcases and they just assumed that they are coming with me, and quite rightly so. They came with me. When it's great, they know that they go around the world with me. I'm huge on traveling, and I want to do a lot more of that. You know, my wife and I went to Bali for our honeymoon, and we did Malaysia, and we want to do that again. Far East is just unbelievable.
Stunning place,
And it's a
yes.
great place to do business as well. There's so many
Yes.
opportunities out there.
Okay.
And now that we've got that step into the Middle East, there's going to be a lot more that we can do into the Far East as well. Akshay he keeps telling me every year, I'm moving to Thailand, I'm moving to Bali. So he just wants to live on a beach, and it's going to happen at some point. So there's a lot of traveling that we do.
And what would you say? What advice would you give to anyone who's British-based business entrepreneur, or anyone, a young person, but is looking at going international, starting something abroad, but yet can't take that first step? And you've already done that, and you're only 34.
So you've got to be in a situation where there's two ways of going about it, right? Because my business is already funding everything that I need to be able to survive, I have the opportunity, and because I've got a big team behind me and that I can rely on, I've got the opportunity where I can take 2 months out there and do it. And do it. If there's a young person who wants to do it now. Because as you get older and as you develop with a family, you lose time, and you want to spend more time with your family. And for you to take 2 months away to go and do that, it's a difficult thing to do. A lot of guilt kicks in. You know, you know as a parent that when you're running a business, you do feel guilty at times because you need to give everything to the business, but you need to give everything to your family. So if someone's going to do it, take that 2 months out and absolutely run with it. The Middle East is a place where connections is really important. But people in the Middle East love talking to people who are not from the Middle East as well. So it's really easy for me to be able to build connections out there. And we've already got that network out there. There's so many people who are from the UK and from the US out there already that, and they're all happy to help. You know, if you say to someone who's already in a role, I'd love to be able to understand how you got here, they're really open about it because people do want others to succeed. So that mentoring thing still exists without it being an actual mentor. And get on LinkedIn. I know it's a social media platform.
I say that too. More recently, I've
Absolutely.
been really doing a lot more on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
It's been phenomenal for
I'm
the
not very
projects.
good at it. I'm not. And I've always said to myself, I need to do more. And I do put up the odd post, but I like to do, when I'm out, I like to put, advertise what we've done, because I think it's important, not just for our clients to see what we're doing, but also for our competitors to see what we're doing. I don't look at competition as a bad thing. I think there is more than enough business and more than enough money in this world for all of us to be successful. A lot of my competitors are good friends, and we'll go out for dinner. And if they see that I've done this and I've seen that they've done something else, there's always a way that we can always bring that together.
See, social care sector is becoming more and more like that. We're part of Champion Social Care, and
Yeah.
we've got lots of providers and sector leaders who are together, jointly sharing and showing great practice.
Yeah,
So that you can,
absolutely.
and showing connections as well, which is
Yeah,
just
and it's
so
a very
collaborative.
small world. I've gone to events and I've met people who are part of your social championing social care board.
Yes.
I won't put them on the spot, but I have met some very interesting people. And when you look at, it's just similar to how we met. In fact, I didn't know who Avnish was, and we met in a reception of a spa. Reception of a spa.
Yes.
Yeah. And my wife came upstairs. She goes, "I met this fantastic lady downstairs, and she uses it. My wife's into her skincare.
I forgot all my skincare.
And she was absolutely beautiful. She was amazing, and she uses the same skincare. So I'm on the right track. And I'm looking at it thinking, you're telling me that because it's like £600 worth of skincare, and I get it. And then Avish goes, oh, that was my wife. And but look at how it works out. That we've got so many mutual contacts. It's a really, really small world, the social care world. And that puts more pressure on to make sure you do things properly, because it can very easily go wrong. So it's about making sure that you deliver care by putting your heart and soul into the business.
Yes, and always for the greater good of the people that you're serving.
Absolutely.
In terms of developing yourself, like, do you enjoy doing any personal development? Like I listen to you and I'm thinking, you're 34, you have so much wisdom. Where do you get your wisdom from?
So funnily enough, I've never done much personal development. I've always used the phrase "wing it."
Okay.
Right, that's been my thing. So when I went in to do the tender, I winged it. When I did my first public speaking, winged it. And you wing it with a bit of education, right? You need to, it needs to be an educated wing it, not let's just, if it happens, it happens. You've got to go in there prepared. I've always said that if an opportunity arises, you've got to grab it, you've got to run with it, and you've got to give it your all. But don't ever be afraid of taking a chance. So I do want to do more. I think there's a lot more that I can develop on as a business owner, as a person, as a husband, as a father. I think there's loads of things that better you can do as a parent at the end of the day, which I need to do, which I'd love to do. But that's going to be a lot around, which I know something which you're very good at, is taking time out to focus on yourself and your inner self. My best friend, Jimmy, he is really big, and we get into really deep conversations, probably why I don't see him enough, because we get into very deep conversations and he talks about your authentic self. And I used to say to him, I don't know what that means, I don't want to know, I'm too busy. And now as you get older, you realize you do need to know what that means, because you need to understand what your trigger points are, and when you need to take a step back, and when it's getting a bit much, and when you do have a bit more capacity to take on more.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm just so impressed by everything you're hearing. You're just so inspirational. It's really, really great. Fahim, could you share with me like one thing that's really stands out for you as being a successful entrepreneur, a business leader, that would help somebody, hoping to follow in your footsteps?
Yeah. Anyone who wants to enter business, especially if it's in the world of health and social care, but in any business, you need to understand your why. And I think that's really important. Good. My why when I was 19 years old was to become a millionaire, buy a yacht, have a private jet, probably impress loads of girls, and then my partner turned up, and that all changed. My why became something very different. My why, a year after we got married, my daughter was born, and my why then became about making sure that I can be the best possible father, that I can do the best for my mum. It's not about being the millionaire anymore. It's about having time, which is really important. And someone said to me, when is it ever enough? And I said, well, as long as you've got a decent car and you've got a roof over your head and your card works when you need it to, that's enough for me. But that's my why. So if anyone else wants to enter business, and your why changes, when someone wants to enter business, the why that you'll have at 19, 20 years old is very different to what you'll have at 35 years old. So ask yourself what your why is, and then work towards that. And then when your why changes, your goals will automatically change, and your alignment also changes as well. And I have that understanding and that methodology when it comes to clients. I will walk into a hospital or a hospice or a nursing home or an NHS trust, and I want to understand why they are sitting with me, because there has to be a reason you've accepted to have this meeting. If you didn't need my service, or you didn't have a reason to meet with me, we wouldn't be here right now. So there's a why behind that. And then work towards fulfilling that why. That's the easiest way for you to win business. And it is more difficult, because in the world that we're living in now, and I touched on this before, we're living in a world where there's more and more people, younger people who are in remote roles, and that's all they've done since. And they don't know how to have a face-to-face interaction meeting. The first ever job they've got at 19 years old was based behind a laptop, which was working from home. there's not a requirement to write CVs, which I don't believe there should be anyway. But we don't have as much support in writing CVs anymore. We don't have that good old handshake that we used to have. So a lot of that is missing, and I think the youth and the young people really need to understand your why needs to be outside of the four walls of your home. It's not just about going paycheck to paycheck and delivering what you're being told to deliver. Find out what you want in the next 5 years, work out what your why needs to be, and get out there. Technology is here to support us. It's not here to replace us. You may win a contract, you may win a client through a couple of emails and a Teams meeting, but to get it scaled, you need to get out there to the real world. And that's really important for any person who wants to enter the world of business. I'm really big on those face-to-face interactions. It's worked for me. It's continuing to work for me. And if anything, it hinders me when I don't get to have those face-to-face interactions.
It really fills your cup. I can see that.
Absolutely.
You thrive on that.
Yeah.
And I've just loved your advice. I think that's brilliant. I think there's some real gems in that.
Yeah.
And I think if we can, if you're a young person listening to this podcast, I think what Fahim has shared has just been hugely valuable.
And reach out to me. I'd love to help people. I'm not a millionaire. I've not made it. I always say to my bank manager, I was with her yesterday, and I say to her, she goes, she said, Fahim, she said it to my wife, in fact. We've got this joke at home where my bank manager said to my wife at an event, Fahim's doing really well. And now I see my wife looking at red-soled shoes every week. She goes, but your bank manager said you're doing really well. It's a bit of a debate that happens now. But and I also say to the bank manager, she goes, you're doing really well. I said, well, my overdraft facility is in heavy usage, so I don't know about how that looks. But success comes in different ways, and reach out to people and ask for advice. And I may not be right, or I may not be wrong in what I'm trying to say, but my intention, and I think most people's intentions out there, is to be able to get everyone an opportunity, which is why Hounslow's promise is so important to me, which is why I made it clear when I came on board, I want to be a part of something which makes change and drives success. I'd love to be able to support people through that.
And I love your benevolence coming out in all of this, because when you give and giving from the heart, that's the most precious thing you can do. And your whole life, your story's been so inspirational. I wish you the very best of luck in the future. And I know that our path has crossed for a reason. We sit here today on the 100th episode. My goal and my target was very clear.
Very well.
I reach 100, and and today you have helped me achieve that, because I don't think I could have asked for a better person.
Thank you very much.
I'm passionate about young people, and you're doing so well in so many areas of your life. You are thriving, and a huge, huge asset to our country, to the community, to humanity. The humility you have brought today has been so heartwarming for me, and I'm so proud of everything that you have achieved.
Thank you very much. It's
Thank
been
you
an absolute
so
honor. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.